All right, welcome to Till Talks with Chris White, where we talk TILs, tumor infiltrating lymphocytes, and all advanced cell and gene therapies, both with patients, caregivers, along with industry leaders. Let's get going. As a reminder, I am not a medical professional or medical expert. I am only a professional and expert on my story and my experience. If you are needing or seeking medical advice or assistance, please reach out to your care team. Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to Till Talks. Today, I have a very special friend and Mela homie who joined me on the pod. Normally, I have always traditionally had other patients that have done one form of another of a cell therapy, whether in clinical trials and or commercially. It's not specific to any one treatment and or disease in anything, but starting to branch out on myself and my comfort zone. And there's just a lot going on within the oncology landscape and everything. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna holler at my girl Brittany, excuse me, Brittanny, two T's
Brittanny.
and two N's, don't you forget it,
Thank
and
you.
have her come on the pod and talk tills, till talks. So Brittany, further ado, just give us a little one-on-one on who you are, and we'll let it go from there.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Me and Chris met because we're both Mela homies, like you said. We are young and diagnosed with cancer, too young. We both have melanoma. Mine is cutaneous melanoma. I was diagnosed with stage 3A melanoma at the age of 27 years old. I had a mole in my shin that just grew and became cancer, and I let it spread to my lymph nodes before I went to get it checked by a dermatologist. And I got diagnosed with cancer in the middle of the pandemic. So I started just kind of yapping on social media about it because I had to go to all my appointments like all alone. So I didn't know what else to do other than like everybody else at the time, but like go on TikTok and go on Instagram and just like talk about it to the void that was the internet that everybody
Right,
leaned
right.
on during COVID. I mean, TikTok literally didn't even exist pre-COVID, right?
It did. There just wasn't that much of a thing, and then
I guess that's
COVID
true.
gave it, like, an audience
Yeah.
8,000 million fold.
That's when it blew up. Yeah, nobody
Yeah,
knew what TikTok existed. It was Musically first, right? It was Musically, and then it became TikTok, but TikTok exploded during the pandemic, and everybody was running towards it just to meet other people and
yeah,
find connection and find community and not be so turtled up in their homes because that's what we were. We were all in quarantine and just alone in our homes,
straight
and,
up, suck.
it was yeah, it was lonely. Yeah, and I had to go to all of my appointments, like, all by myself. I wasn't allowed to have anybody with me, and I ended up just finding organically you and Katie and Stop Melanoma Movement and just, like, a whole group of melanoma warriors, and
I'm
here I
trying to
am today.
backtrack now, our first communication on how all that went down. Looking, I guess, through the Instagram DMs, probably be it. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't
definitely.
start talking about anything that had to do with my cancer story or experience or anything until maybe 2021, but definitely into 2022. And then I think it was probably 2023 that we ended up connecting through
Yeah.
through something somehow or something.
Invisible string theory because I got diagnosed in 2021, and so even though TikTok was kind of exploding in
Yeah,
2020, and only say TikTok because I started there, but I ended up finding my home in Instagram because what ended up happening is with TikTok you get a lot of likes and explosion but I found more community in Instagram. So I found people like you and people that I connected with. So like even though I was getting more maybe views and engagement on TikTok, I wasn't actually meeting people and connecting with like you as a person. And
right.
like I whenever we connected on Instagram, I met Chris. I wasn't meeting just like a person behind a
Yeah,
handle randomly passing by through the internet. So I kind of like cultivated a home on Instagram and we have more of a community there where we know each other, we know each other's lives, we know each other's like pets' names and our kids and what we do for work and what we like. It's more of a family
straight
there.
up. Like, I didn't even get a TikTok until I want to say like the beginning of 2020
Mhm.
and had I think maybe 3 or 4 different kind of social media platforms, but they were all you had to be like friends, none of them were public. And then come January of 23, I ended up adding Twitter, which became X,
Yep.
Talk, and then I made all of them public. And then looking back at our IG history, you mentioned me in a story September 6th of 23. And I think it had something to do with either Katie making a post for her My Melanoma World things that she does, or something to do with the MRF gala or something. But
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit, stage 3 cancer survivor."
Yeah.
Yeah,
M That's the thing, if you're listening and we're throwing out these names like what, the MRF and Katie, My Melanoma World, Stop Melanoma Movement, like, we all have this tight community, so
that was Stop Melanoma
yeah, right, like,
yeah.
we just all have this tight community. Melanoma is, like, one of the worst cancers. It stinks to have it, but I feel so blessed to have this specific type of cancer because our community is so tight and involved together.
Yeah. One of the things that I love with, like, following you, it's literally like watching in real time, like a reality TV show, because 'cause you're just so open and vulnerable, like, on your stories and just
Mhm.
honest, like, no matter what it is, and, that's real, and that's authentic, and that's how people wanna connect. It's like, regardless of, who else is sharing your story or whatever's going on, you're still doing what you're doing, and you're doing you.
I appreciate that.
And I got mad respect for that. Like, I watched you, kinda
Thanks.
explode and explore all of things, not
Yeah.
just specific to melanoma, but just in cancer advocacy and a handful of things. And I was on a call, or actually, I'm about to rewind a little bit. I recorded a podcast on Monday. Today's Wednesday. And on that pod, I had referenced you because I didn't do it by name. I was just going through it, but you came to mind because I remember one of the main things about your story is because of the pandemic, you missed that skin check that you normally went and did what, like biannually or annually or
Every year I
something?
went to skin checks before.
Yeah. And by missing that, what you would have caught it a little bit sooner than later, but by the time you caught it, you end up having a wide local excision biopsy that looked
Yeah.
like a damn shark bite.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, I had told you, you always can mention
No,
me by
I will, but I just wanted to be
always.
respectful
I know.
and all
I
that.
appreciate. And I do everything, so you're supposed to have, like, a niche. Most people want everything to be private, so I
Oh
do
yeah, no, yeah.
everything so backwards on social media, I can't pick a niche to save my life. Everything is my niche. My whole life is my niche. If you want it, I'll give it to you. And then also, you always have my permission for the rest of eternity to bring my name up in any conversation. I give that to you right here, right now, and to everybody watching.
I know what your niche is, and your niche is you being you and sharing all things Brittany. All right,
Being
and
Brittany.
like it's
Yeah.
encouraging for others that are trying to share their story or be vulnerable
Just
or
be you.
connect with anybody that
Yeah.
like
We
nobody
don't have to
nobody
be one
cares.
thing.
Like you're
We
not
don't
worried
have to be
about.
one perfect thing. We can
No, there's no
be
such thing as perfect. There's no such
yeah.
thing as normal. And if you say those words to me, I tell people, I'm like, man, don't be trying to throw cuss words at me.
Yeah, we can just be everything. Just be whatever we wanna be. That's no matter what our age is, never lose our imagination. We can be whatever we wanna be, as long as we're not hurting anybody, right?
Right,
We don't wanna
right.
hurt. But, no, that is true. What you had said is I had gone to skin checks pretty much every year in my adult life because what we might talk about later, what we should talk about later is, um, so I had my son when I was about 21 years old, and I had never had health insurance growing up. It just wasn't a
So what,
thing that
he's
my
like 4,
family
you're like
did.
26, right? Like, you can't be older than that.
I'm 32 now. Thank you. I'm 32.
Fool me.
Yeah. But, so I was 21 whenever I had my son, and that's what actually got me to get health insurance for the first time in my lifetime, and it was Medicaid because I was a young kid working, I think, at Subway at the time, maybe?
To
So I was work
Subway when I was a teenager.
Did you?
Yeah,
I'm the best sandwich artist ever.
exactly. You're an artist.
I'm an artist, yes.
Remind people.
So I was making, like, $7 an hour, like, barely enough to just pay my phone bill, and, had a baby, so I had Medicaid, which is and I think it's different state to state, but I'm Pennsylvania, which is where I live, is the healthcare insurance for low-income customers. I work customer service too, so I might accidentally say low income customers because I work customer service and I'm usually talking about low income customers in my day-to-day job, okay?
Gonna ask you about your profession as well, so yeah, this kinda integrates into it, so it's all good. Like I said, no rules.
Low income people like myself can get Medicaid for healthcare insurance. And that's what I had for the first time in my life. I had healthcare insurance. And I was like, huh, I can schedule doctor's appointments now because they're free. For the most part, you don't really have copays for like any doctor's appointments. And if you do, they're like $1, maybe $3. They're really free. So, I was thinking in my lifetime, well, what doctor should I call up? And I had grown up tanning and tanning salons and outside. And so I was like, well, I should probably go get a skin check. And I mean, look at me. I got it covered up with makeup, but I'm covered in moles. I got a lot of them covered up strategically with makeup, but trust me, I got one
Uh,
right there. I'm covered in moles.
aren't
Okay.
those called beauty marks?
They are,
Okay.
but I also have a lot of moles. And so I started going to skin checks year after year, and like you had said, long story short, the one and only skin check that I had missed ever since then was the year that the pandemic happened, which would have been 2020. The quarantine just happened, and because we were in quarantine, I didn't go to that one skin check. And by the time I went back in 2021, that's where the melanoma was on my shin. And I know that if I would have went the year earlier, they most likely would have found it that year because it had been growing on my shin for quite a long time. So yeah, fun.
I remember seeing that video where you're at that water park in that tube, and that's one of your reference points to be like, "Oh, I had it then. It was
Yep.
there. You can see it." But you didn't know what you know now,
Mhm.
obviously, because otherwise things could have went in a different course. But like I say all the time, like, the crystal ball is broke and my flux capacitor's in the shop, so I can't rewind time.
Yeah, it just looked like an ugly mole. I mean, I
Like,
didn't know.
so I got a handful of questions that I'm super curious about. So when you started looking in to get Medicaid, who was it, or was there anybody that was able to kind of guide you through that and explain it to you and I guess navigate what you should pick and how you should do it? And do you have a choice for your doctors? Are you limited to that? Like, give me the breakdown.
Yeah. A lot of it, well, some of it was my Merle's mom. Merle's my partner, my son's father. Merle's mom had Medicaid for herself and her kids growing up, so she had some experience with it, but a lot of it is yourself. You gotta figure it out yourself. I'm trying to think back then, I'm pretty sure you had to go to your local, like, county assistance office and welfare office and, like, pick up a paper application. Today, you can do it online, thank goodness, but this was, like,
You can't do anything in
2015.
person anymore.
They
It's all
still
online.
yeah, there's still paper applications, but they're fizzling out, you know? The online application's a million times easier, let me tell you that. But now you just fill it out online. It's a questionnaire. You fill it out truthfully and then submit it. But it is mostly you have to do it yourself. There's no one there to really walk you through it. No.
Okay. And then from the time you fill all that out, what's the usual response time to where they let you know, all right, you're approved, here's what your benefits are gonna look like and all that stuff? Is it pretty quick or what's the turnaround?
Yeah. So depending on what you apply for, so usually if you go online, you can, and it varies state by state, but you can, if you have nothing, you can apply for like food stamps, medical assistance, and a few different multiple things all at the same time. And sometimes at the end of the application, it'll tell you based off of all the information that you submit because it asks you about your income and everything. And it'll gauge if like are you probably eligible for this so you can manage your expectations right at the end of the application. Most times it'll be like, yeah, you're most likely eligible so that you can reason your expectations. So if you make $1 million a month and you have put in your application saying that you make $1 million a month and you're a one person household, at the end of the
That would
application,
be
it'll be like,
incredible.
yeah, you don't qualify. Like, don't get your expectations up. You
I
don't
could only
qualify.
dream to be making $1 million a month.
Exactly. Right. But, and because they don't actually send you the official results until a week or so later in the mail, you do have to wait still for the mail for the results to let you know what's going to happen.
Right?
Sometimes a caseworker will call you a couple of days later and ask you follow up questions just in case, because sometimes what you input on the application can be a bit confusing. They might have some follow-up questions just to clarify everything. And you just have to be honest. Just answer honestly. They'll figure it out. If there's anything that you feel like they got wrong, you can advocate for yourself. They're not always right, and every person's situation is super not, like, straightforward. Not everybody's
Yeah.
situation is like, "Oh, I make $10 an hour, I work 40 hours a week, period." Not everybody's situation is cut and
No.
dry like that. So you have to advocate for yourself. It's a bit everything's gray, but it's not as hard as it's not as hard or difficult as they make it out to see.
Does it automatically renew, or do you have to every year when an open enrollment comes, fill everything out to make sure it's up to date?
Yeah, you have to renew it about every 6 months, and again, this could vary
Okay,
based on
so
your
it's not even
state.
annually, it's every
It's
6
not even
months. Okay.
annually. They make you re-verify your income. In Pennsylvania, at least, it's every 6 months. They'll send you a letter in the mail, or you can do, like, email notifications, whatever you prefer, and yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah, was always on a PPO insurance through an employer, and then I COBRA'd when I got let go and, left the new home construction industry, but at the start of 2025 I, had to maintain medical insurance through the Affordable Care Act, and, it was the first time my adult life I can had an HMO, but that limits me to, my state. And the clinical trial I did, all my follow-ups, those were out of state, and having that specific insurance was one of the reasons I was able to continue to do that. And so I actually got a letter recently, one from my GP's office and then also from my insurance. But my GP, I guess after the start of the first of the year, they're no longer taking the current insurance. And so I'm trying to navigate and figure out what to do in regards to 6 for medical insurance. Since I'm not in a clinical trial anymore, I went
Yeah.
from scanning at least 4 or 5 times a year to now just doing it biannually. And so I might even just look into just figuring out if I was just no insurance and just a cash paying customer, how much it would be, because after my premiums and then you're out of pocket and all the other miscellaneous costs, I only need to do 2 brain MRIs now per year, 2 CT scans per year, lab work for all 2 visits per year with the oncologist, plus all
Mhm.
that. So lots of intake, and I don't watch a lot of news recently because I've been real busy, but when I do turn it on, I'm like, "Oh, man, I need to check into some of these things before the end of the year, like, runs away from me."
Yeah.
This is important stuff. It's just crazy.
Can I ask you a question?
Percent. I'm an open
With
book.
whenever you're paying for insurance with premiums and stuff, do you also you have, like, in-network and out of network where you have to go to certain doctors, right? Like,
Yes.
you can't just go anywhere.
No, when I picked my plan, I sat down about a year ago from now with a dude and went over my options and the plan comparable to what I was paying for my Cobra and the coverage I need. And I gave him a list ahead of time, like, here's all the doctors that I've been seeing over the years. And yeah, I want to stay with them. So let's try to help find that plan to where they are in network. And out of all of them, because I have my GP, my local oncologist, and then my dermatologist, and then also retina specialist, and then the ophthalmologist. And I didn't have any vision or dental insurance moving forward to 2025, which really sucks. But medical wise, the only one that I think was not in network was my retina specialist, which I had an
Mhm.
appointment in April and didn't end up going, but, they made sure that my GP, my local oncologist, and my dermatologist were all in network, and even though I personally know them on
Yeah.
a personal level as
Obviously,
well as my doctor,
because 'cause you're
and
with them all the time.
yeah, and it's just one of those things when you go through, like, you get to know them very intimately, but, they still had to officially have my GP, send an email or whatever over to my oncologist, my dermatologist, and so forth, my ophthalmologist as a referral, like,
Yeah.
stupid ass rule, you know what I mean?
Y
Like, so that was one of the deciding factors in the plan that I did pick.
yeah.
I would love to be able to continue to go back to Colorado and have my follow-ups with the oncologist I did my clinical trial with, but I'd have to be paying as a cash customer, and then
Oh.
also still my own expenses on whether I'm driving out there or whether I'm flying.
Right.
It all adds up. But that's it's definitely one of the things that always kind of plagues me. It's like when I was an employee and my insurance was all built into a deduction as part of my paycheck as a W-2 employee. You don't even think about it. Like I always took everything that they basically offered, medical, dental, vision. I had short-term disability, long-term disability,
Yeah.
FMLA, all of it. And so when I got diagnosed and I had to go in and out of work all the time and I ran out of PTO. Like I used the short-term disability, I used the long-term disability. That all was huge. If I didn't have that PPO when I ran out of options when I was going back and forth to Houston, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been able to get into clinical trial because they didn't have a trial site for the trial I did in the state of Texas. And so the closest one, period, was in Colorado. So just having that saved my life.
Mhm.
It's insurance can be mega complicated if you're, not having to use it. It's one of those things that's exactly what it is. It's like you get it in case you need it.
Mhm.
Hopefully you don't need it, but
Mhm.
when something happens and then you do need it, it's a lifesaver. And I've had plenty of injuries throughout my life and everything, and I'd have to go to the doctor, do this and that, surgery or blah blah blah. But I never hit my deductibles or needed to know as much as I now
Right.
know about it.
Yeah, no, that's why I was asking because it's still, like still don't understand it because I haven't had your type of insurance. You still don't understand my type of insurance. So having this conversation is so
It
important because
yeah,
it's
I'm
even though
just
we know so much, we still know nothing,
oh, yeah,
right?
fraction of what I should be knowing.
It's so complicated because like I don't deal with the network or in-network thing. So I can pretty much go mostly anywhere in my state. I haven't had much of an issue. I even all of my cancer care is handled in West Virginia, which I still don't 100% understand how that works, but all of my care is covered in West Virginia. But I think it is because the hospital that I go to, like the parent company, it's called like WVU Medicine, and they have places in both Pennsylvania and West Virginia.
How far away is it from where you live to go to either one? I mean, because I think I saw some of your videos. It takes you like an hour to
No,
get there, right?
backwards. So I live in West Virginia. I live
Oh,
on the
you're, like,
state
on the
line.
border-ish
Yeah,
part of it? Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. I technically live in Pennsylvania, but it's a hop, skip, and a jump away to get to West Virginia. I
okay.
go to West Virginia for my Walmart, my gas station, like, you know
That's
what I
where all the
mean?
stores and things are at that you
Yeah,
need to go. Okay, I
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
Like, it's a
yeah, to
property
go
line,
to
essentially, a
yeah,
technicality.
yes, exactly.
I wanted to, rewind and go back to, your melanoma, experience, so diagnosed in 21, you get the wide local excision. I've heard and seen you tell your story, umpteen times.
Is that the
You
truth?
know, at the time, you're, based upon your staging and everything in your scans, they decided your course of treatment was gonna be, a single immunotherapy. What I'm really curious to know is, did they say like, "Hey, well, if you progress and, you go from" what stage were you? Remind me.
3A.
If you go from 3A and you go to, like, say, 3C
Mhm,
and or to 4, what would
mhm.
be the plan B, C, D, E, and F? Did they bring up clinical trials? What clinical trials, if they did they ever mention the word TIL therapy? Like, I'm really curious to know.
I wish that they would have even mentioned that I was stage 3A.
Yeah, I remember hearing you said that they dropped the ball on that.
Oh, your answer is no, unfortunately, because I didn't even know I was stage 3A. I had to do that research and figure that out myself. So
Okay.
pretty much it was just you're gonna do immunotherapy. It's with a drug called Keytruda, and that was the end of the rope,
Have you
which is a
reached out
bummer.
to Merck and been like, "Yo," like,
No,
little brand deal, maybe, like, little,
no,
something?
I
They
but
don't do that.
no, 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 no.
No.
But I have
I'm just
definitely
saying, though.
since done my research and I've reached out to like Castle Biosciences and I've got my what is it called? They do the oh my brain is blanking.
Talking
They
about,
do
like,
the
what Leah do
no, they do the test that tells you all of the inside outs of what your mole is
for
and
the
all the
ABCD. things and,
That oh,
yeah.
I forget what it's called, unfortunately, my brain is
I know
but
what
they
you're
do a
talking
really
about, though.
diagnostics DX something. They have a really cool test that tells you all of the intricacies of your melanoma and, like, the chances of it returning and all of that. Because my oncologist did not give any
Does
information to me.
Decision do they do that, like, in a real simplistic yeah, Decision DX. Do they do it in a, like, super simplistic form, like, graphically, so you can kinda look at it and understand it
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense,"
Yep.
without having to read, like, a freaking paragraph of
Yes. Yeah.
terminology, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, so I
Simplify
reached
it,
out to
please.
them. I did all my research myself. My oncologist, unfortunately, I don't know why she didn't. I understand there's a lot of patients who don't wanna know. They just wanna
Yeah.
get in and out, and they wanna leave, and they wanna put their blinders on, but I wanted to know everything. I wanted to learn everything, and I could not get that information from my oncologist, so I had to do all the investigation myself,
That's
and everything
annoying.
I know is from my own research. I had to pull all of my own charts, I had to read everything myself, I had to Google everything and learn it myself, and I had to find out my staging myself.
So, when you're sitting down with your oncologist and they're telling you, like, "Here's what's gonna be our plan," the word clinical trials, the word cell therapy, or even being able to go outside of the organization you were at, like,
Mhm.
oftentimes I'll end up hearing from a lot of patients that they'll tell me they didn't know until after the fact and they learned by default, but it turns out that because there's the community oncology settings, there's the academic centers, and depending on where you're going, oftentimes you only learn about what they have at those locations, not everything that exists everywhere. And that if maybe you might not qualify at the moment, but if you progress, then these might be some options. Like for
Mhm.
Till, after I got dosed, because I was the last patient, it
Yeah.
wasn't open anymore, but they did have compassionate use, but it was only in 5 states. So
Mhm.
unless you lived in one of those states or you had a PPO insurance to get to it, when an option, I was seeing people get GoFundMe's, because say, just an example, someone I knew in California, they had to like raise like 40K just to get out of state. But that's one of those things you never know what's going to happen. We know a lot of our mellow homies who ended up spreading to stage 4 brain metastasis. A lot of them had craniotomies,
Yeah.
did end up doing clinical trials that worked. Some of them didn't work, but
Mm.
the
They tried.
education and awareness that wherever you're going to,
Yeah.
that's something I ask everybody because this is Till Talks. But other than meaning tumor infiltrated lymphocytes, it also stands for Today I Learned.
True. Some accountability as far as, like, I knew I could ask for more. I could ask for second opinions. Like, I knew at least that. Originally, they wanted me to not even go to my oncologist because
Why?
they wanted me to go to Pittsburgh, which where I live, Pittsburgh is
Like
more
UPMC?
better. Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
better.
I know.
It's well
I
known,
know, dog.
way better care, and I was like, "I'm 27 years old. Why would I wanna go to I don't wanna drive an hour to get
How long it
care."
would be? It would take an hour?
Yeah, what do you mean? I
Oh,
don't know. I
shit.
need to go somewhere closer to home because I don't have time for this, okay? So, I opted to go somewhere closer to home, which means local rural care, which is not the
The
best quality
convenience factor,
care.
basically, then, right? Like, you
Exactly.
you sided
Yeah.
on the convenience
So I
factor and
traded convenience crap yeah, for I traded quality for convenience and I got convenience care. So I have to take accountability there, right? So I could have went to Pittsburgh. I could have asked for more. I chose convenience.
did you ever think in the back of your mind, like, "Okay, if it did progress, where would I go from there? What would I do?" Like, were you willing to go anywhere and do anything you had to do, or are you just gonna just stay, like, within your zone of, "Here's what's"
Yeah. Yeah, because whenever I made the decision of convenience, I still didn't know what melanoma was and how serious it was. It took me a year of going through treatment to educate myself on how serious what I was going through was. And by the time I was done with treatment, I had done the work and the education to realize what I was going through was the deadliest form of skin cancer and could have killed me. So by
Right.
the time I was done, I was like, okay, yeah, now I realize the fight that I'm in is the fight of my life, and now I'm prepared for whatever's thrown at me. So if it were to come back, my whole outlook of it would be totally different. I was young and dumb.
It's all good. That was 2021. We're almost in 2026. There's been a lot of approvals, a lot of advancements. One was kill, obviously, but there's been a handful of immunotherapies that have got approved since then. In combination, we're talking about like Abduolag and even the flip dose with Ipi-Nivo. I mean, just so
Mhm.
it's less toxic, but there's so many more options. And one of the things that I ended up learning that I am pretty vocal about is all I thought about or knew when I was diagnosed was something like, oh, you got cancer, you cut it out. That's the first thing you do. And knowing what I know now about how cancer thinks and acts and works and all that stuff, I'm very entrenched in that world. Doing surgery as a first thing would probably not be the best thing. I would highly recommend or ask people to look into neoadjuvant treatment
I'm
because then you
learning
might
this
not
too.
even need surgery.
Yep, I'm learning this
Turn
myself
on your
this year.
brakes, release the brakes, and
Yep,
let your immune system do that. Because if you're going to war and your enemy knows you're coming, they're not just going to sit there and let you come kick their ass. They're going to start sneaking away. And so by the time you do show up and start to fight, half of their regiment and their infantry has already moved on, planning
yep.
their next flank. So these are the SOC or SOPs, standard of care, standard of practice for years was usually you do surgeries and then you follow it up with adjuvant treatment, whether it be radiation or something systemic, chemo or immunotherapy. Therapy didn't start getting its first approvals until about a decade ago. What was it? This what year? 2012 was the first one.
Yeah, and like I said, the Keytruda, the immunotherapy that I did, I was diagnosed in 2021. It got approved 2 years before me in 2018. So, they started in around 2012, but they were still getting FDA approved for specific
Yeah,
stages.
it's now approved for over like 17 different types of
Yeah,
cancers or
yeah.
18 or something, plus in combination with other drugs. I mean, like, they're a big player in the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something I've been teaching people even in my community is that even as early as what, I'm 4 years out, they've changed the regimen for me, so a person that goes in with my type of cancer
It
would
has a
normally
totally different protocol than
has a
what you
totally different
had.
protocol,
Yeah,
yeah, you start immunotherapy first, and then if you need surgery, then you do surgery, but you start the immunotherapy first, it's neoadjuvant, and then you do surgery after if need be, but if the immunotherapy takes the cancer away, you don't need surgery.
yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. How often are you doing I know you do, like, what, biannually or quarterly skin checks, is that correct?
Skin checks is twice a year. Yeah, and then
Okay.
my PET scans are once a year right now.
So is it always PET scans or do you do CT?
They're combined.
Oh, you do a PET CT. Okay, what about brain MRIs? Do you ever do those?
I've done, I think, 1 or 2 of them, but they're not super consistent. No.
Like, because
I know I've done one because, like,
melanoma, it's known to if and when it does metastasize, going to the brain is one of those
yeah,
areas that it's known for. And due to the blood-brain barrier, there's not always treatments that work. We
yeah.
both personally know people to where it has crossed it. And I was on that panel last year. I want to say it was no, yeah, it was 2024 at the
Mhm.
MRA forum with
Yeah,
Leah and Colleen. And
yep,
Colleen, she was one of the first patients in a trial to prove that it could pass through the blood-brain barrier and it worked.
yeah.
So,
She's so phenomenal. Anytime I get to sit and listen to Colleen talk, it is an honor.
yeah,
She's amazing.
she's pretty stellar. Like I save like all my badges from all the different conferences and everything, but the only one I don't have is from the forum last year because it was the magnet and I was sitting with Colleen that evening like and we were having like dinner and drinks and stuff and somewhere along that line it fell off and I lost it. But
Yeah.
that's the only one I don't have.
I don't know if I do. Mine are all right here, but they're all stacked, so I'm
Yeah.
sure I don't know. I loved keeping those things. They're very special to
I
me.
I made a started just making like this collage in my other room. I do some of my podcasts from that room or whatnot, but there's this one section to where it's just continues to grow. It's like those badges of honor.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to make mine prettier. They're just, like, hung there, just all messily.
Yeah, and stuff. So outside of the MRF and the MRA, I know you do a lot of advocacy work with the ACS,
Yep, love them.
the Lights of Hope, right? And
Yeah,
then Do you also go attend, like, your state legislator, like, on behalf of some of their asks through them, or what?
That's all kind of looped in with all ACS can. So American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network kind of leads all of that. They are super, super smart, way smarter than I could never do this without them. So they are really organized and kind of
They're a large organization. They've been around
lo-
quite a
yeah, I mean, it's
time.
American Cancer Society. What do you expect?
Yeah.
But I'm super thankful for them. They send out all the main priorities that we need to be focusing on in Congress that affect healthcare, cancer patients, and then it's like I don't want to say it's like a pyramid. That sounds crazy.
No, no,
That
no,
sounds
no.
crazy. But it
Nothing's
starts out,
crazy.
with we have our
I live in
states.
the world of crazy, so
It's more of like this, okay? It's more of like this. It's not like this. That's crazy. But it starts out with your states, and then the states are broken down by district. And so,
no, I get it. I get it. I get it.
but we have your state, and then we can go to our district congressmen, and we can also ask them. And so then it goes up to the legislators of our Senate and our the House and the Senate, and so basically what we're doing is starting from the ground up. This is what I'm trying to say. Starting from the ground up. And so if I can go into my district congressman's office and say, "Hey, you need to fund cancer research," then he can take that to Washington D.C. and that goes into Congress, and then he can take that into the meetings, push that message, say, "Hey, Brittany, who is in as a constituent in my county, really is dealing with cancer, really is inspiring me to push for this piece of legislation. This is why we need to pass it." And then that just moves up into higher regions of the Congress. What's funny is I personally not a political person. Never have been.
Me either.
Not at all. Nope. I did not grow up in a political house. Never parents did not vote. I was never registered to vote until last year.
I
Until
voted for the
last
first time in 2020.
last year was the first time I ever voted, ever, and it was because I kind of fell into ACS Can. I didn't even know that ACS Can was like a political thing. I
How'd
just
you
like
learn
wanted
about
to.
them?
Jen, Jen
Yeah.
Patrice, Jen Snyder. She's super. I mean,
Yeah, she's extremely engaged.
she's so smart. Yes, and she was like, "You should try
She's a
this," and I was,
professor, isn't she? Doesn't she teach college kids?
I don't know. She does everything. She just does everything. She's so smart. And so
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I'm learning. I don't know. I whenever it comes to this stuff, but I've learned a lot in the last year from them. They do really good with educating you on what's important. They send out emails daily, every single day that tell
Yeah.
you, teach you, tell you, and I'm doing my best. I'm hitting the books. I'm doing my research online. I'm trying, can type it out. I can read it, but I have not. I can't verbalize it yet.
It's
I
okay.
haven't gotten to the point where I'm able to actually speak confidently about legislative things. But
That comes
I'm
with time and
yeah.
practice, and, like, you'll fall right
That's
into
what I'm
it.
working on. That's
Yeah.
that's my current project right now is what I'm working on. I'm doing my best, but I'm not there yet.
It's
But I'm getting
like,
there. It's really fun though.
since I've connected with you, I've watched you expand, like, everything within this realm, engagements, interviews. You ever go and, like, Google yourself?
Or like Chat GBT.
Yeah. I tell people, believe it or not, Chris White is actually a pretty common name, but if you enter Chris White and then capital letters TIL, there'll
Yeah.
be some pages.
We're in our I told you we're famous in our small towns, bro.
Yeah.
You know? We are. We're making something out of ourselves and I'm really proud of us. I really am.
Straight up. I wanna know what's on your horizon for, let's just say, like, the next year. Like, I always kept what I call, like, my wish list of conferences that I started following and organizations or groups and that. A lot of the things, they are literally, like, save the date a year in advance. They are planning them a year in advance. There's a handful of melanoma specific, but I'm also very engaged with, specific cell and gene therapy, like, realms, and I kinda keep like I said, like a wish list calendar of like what's going on and out there. Do you do something similar?
I love that. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I'm sure you're not surprised by that at all.
No, no, in fact, I mean, that's you go with the flow.
I do, but I have been loving the flow of us going to MRF advocacy days, and adding in the MRA patient forum last year was amazing.
Did you get to stay for the scientific retreat last year or just the forum?
I went to the scientific retreat as well, which was phenomenal. Even though, again, I'm not smart, that's actually where I learned about the adjuvant treatment versus neoadjuvant treatment, and adding that into my arsenal of knowledge.
Now you can share that with your followers and those other kind of people, and that's the whole thing, education and awareness. You don't know what you need to know until you need to learn it, but if you
Yeah,
kinda have something to where you're like, "Hey, wait a minute, that sounds familiar, that rings a bell." I remember
yeah,
Brittany talking about this,
right.
"Let me ask
Yeah,
the questions."
yep. Yep. And I don't know, I just love sharing my story. I wish this is a really silly wish, but I hate that my Instagram stories expire in 24 hours. I think it's such a shame that I share so much of my life and then it just disappears in 24 hours. So if you miss it, it's gone. You tell me this all the time because you don't have time to watch like my
Oh,
whole day
I
every
pop
day.
on every once in a while, and I'm like, that's when I watch your stories, like, nobody's
Yeah.
got time because you imagine how many people we're connected with and all their stories and
Yeah. I
everything,
need to
and
find a way
it could
so
be a
that it's
lot.
Yeah, I need to figure out a way to so that people can go back and rewatch it when they have time to watch it,
I think
right?
there's a setting within there to where you can create a file and it'll save all your stories, and then
You can go back and rewatch it. I can, but
there's
there's not
the
a way to public it.
you can't create, like, a playlist of sorts, I guess, to where I thought there was a
I
thing to
just
when you
have to
post a
find the
story, it'll
time to
save it,
do
and
all
then
those
you'll have
edits.
an additional
That's
video,
the
and then you
problem.
can
Yeah. I just have to find the time to be able to edit all that and post all that while I'm also filming all that. You know what I mean?
I definitely do. Like, I always try to have a backlog. So that
Yeah.
way for example, like these podcasts and things, I recorded before I launched it, I had 6 recordings done. That way I could drop a couple immediately so people could kind of get into it and binge. But then
Yeah.
also, as I'm recording and editing new ones, I can continue to put out other ones. Like, that's the name of the game and thing with literally out of, I don't know, 5 out of the 6 different platforms I post the reels from these kind of things.
Yeah.
I schedule them in advance, and when I'm really, really on point, I'll schedule a week of them in advance, but I
Yeah.
gotta sit down for a day and do so, but, when you follow your analytics from all of that, you'll see the increase of that, and when it
Oh.
shows who your viewers are, turns out that the majority of them that are watching it, they're not necessarily liking, comment, or sharing it, but you can see
Mhm.
who's doing it. Almost 90% on some platforms are non-followers, so that's getting the reach, and that's the same
Yeah.
thing. Do you study a lot of your analytics through your different platforms on who's
No,
getting the message?
but during, like, Melanoma May, I do that. Like, I post every day in May for melanoma awareness. I always do that. I make sure I have a pile of stuff done, so it's just scheduled and it's done.
That you plan in advance because there's
Yeah.
Don't Friday, Melanoma Monday,
Yep.
all those other things in
But to do
between.
that for a whole year every day of my life, I really would
You would have to essentially take a
I
couple of
want to
days
do
off
it.
social and then just start pre-scheduling content to
Yeah.
where you're not having to do it in the moment, and then put it on your calendar like once a week and be like 2 weeks ahead of time. I'm gonna create the next week's worth of stuff.
That's
One of
my goal.
the things I noticed between a lot of the advocacy community and other patients is everybody's got a link tree. Like, my link tree was one of the free version of it, and I so many links, it crashed. And so I decided to just condense it and put it onto one of my websites, which I'm redoing. Do you not have a website, like an actual URL website?
Oh, but my link tree is a mess. I love talking with you.
I would encourage those because learn it all like ad hoc wise, but keeping your link tree like simplistic when there's so many links on there, just have
Yes.
your social icons at the top, your email, and then just get a website and then structure and
I need
organize
to.
your website to where you could put all those links on that website. And then you just have kind of like a couple of solid links. And that's what I did. I made business cards and the QR code goes to my link tree. And so that way they have it all.
Yep.
Like, you should totally go to, like, GoDaddy, get a,
Don't you have to pay for that, like a website?
well, yeah, it's a URL,
Is it monthly?
but you pay for it a year at a time, and it depends on what level you get. I have 3 websites. I have the mucosamelanomasurvivor.com,
Mhm.
I have my Your Chill Speaker, and I have, tilltalks.com,
Mhm.
and with each one of those, I have an email that goes with it. The first one I got in 2022 because that's also the name of my LLC. I'd also encourage you to go get yourself an LLC
Yeah.
because It'll open a lot of doors in being able to be hired as an independent contract consultant, do paid speaking engagements.
Mhm.
You know, that's how I also published my book. It's published by Mucosal Melanoma Survivor LLC. Like, Amazon's just my distributor. So as engaged and involved that you are, there's so much possibilities for you to enhance your mission.
Of course, I'd love to have my own reality show, but, like, advocacy is all I care about. I
Well, and
just
that's the
love
thing
talking
is,
about
unless you're
melanoma.
working for an organization, there's no be a that's what I wanted to do. I was like, "How do I get paid to be an advocate?" And I said, "I'm gonna figure out." It was like, "People get paid to be speakers?" I was like, "I'm
Right.
gonna figure out how to get paid." I started reaching out to anybody and everybody. How do you get known? And uh, basically, they're like, "Well, you're just gonna have to put yourself out there and figure it out." You got that part down. You've been doing it.
Yeah,
Now
because 'cause
you
we're
just
both
need to do
yappers.
some of
We
these.
love to yap,
Yeah.
we're
You
so
just
good at
gotta
it.
line in
Yep.
some of these logistics and streamline a few things. Like I said, get an LLC, like, that's a couple $100, but it's so worth it. Pay for it once,
Yeah.
and then get a website. And there's different tiers on the website, like my mucosal melanoma survivor and Till Talks website. Those are a little more upgraded than my Your Till speaker one. That's like the just super simple version of it. So there's that and everything in between. And then you can get the commerce thing, get auto scheduling, you can sell digital products, frequently asked questions page and stuff. One stop shop for everybody to,
Yeah.
whether they want to know specifically about melanoma or your advocacy engagements and that sort of
Right.
thing. You know what I mean? Like,
The only reason I use Linktree is because it's free, but it
no,
is
yeah.
you
So
can't do
that's
a lot
that,
because it's free, you can't do a lot with it, so it's a big jumbled mess.
yeah.
It's a
Well,
big jumbled
it'll
mess.
happen to you just like it happened to me. Like, it'll crash. You'll have so many links that you end up
It's a
going onto there, and
mess.
it's just like, okay, I
But
got to organize this.
they have changed it to because I like to show skincare. Here's my skincare, and you can make, like, a bit of commission on there now. Not that
Yeah,
I
I
do
saw
because
that. Like,
the world's in a terrible place and nobody wants to buy anything because 'cause we're all broke, but, like, if I do show, like, skincare products, I can put it on there, and if someone buys it, I'll make, like, 3 pennies off of it. But, like,
hey, but if
that's a
there's a
cool
lot of people doing
feature.
that, those 3 pennies could eventually turn into a dollar, which could eventually turn into multiple dollars. Like, it just
It's
depends on how
possibilities.
much work you put.
There
Yeah.
are possibilities, exactly, and if you are, like, a big I can see if you're a big influencer or whatever, people are probably making a lot of money from that. I am not, but it is fun. It is fun to be able to, "Hey, click my link.
I
This
was
is
gonna say,
cute.
like,
You can
when it
buy it."
comes to, I guess, affiliate marketing or whatnot, you post this, and if somebody clicks the link, you score a little bit of commission, and, like,
Yeah,
I've seen your
and
link tree,
that works with my Amazon shop. I've gotten, like, 5, $10 from Amazon, and that I get a free whatever I want from Amazon, some
and
cat food.
it's all about having, those multiple streams of income because,
Yeah,
like, it all
yeah,
is,
it
one month
helps.
it might be something here or something there, it could
It
supplement
helps.
this and that, but it's the entrepreneurship of what
Yeah,
people have to do. They always talk about side hustles, like, I don't know anybody that
uh-huh.
doesn't have a side hustle, like, they're like, "Oh, I just have one
Listen.
source of income and that's it."
Yeah, I penny nickel time anything. Like I will be very happy with my pennies that I get from wherever. I'm not going to complain. It's fine. Anything helps.
Little rewind to, after the first of the year coming up here. Are you already dialed are you going to the forum, the retreat with the
I
MRA
hope
and also the advocacy days with the MRF? Or
manifesting. I hope that they will welcome me to go. If they welcome me to go, I will 100% be there.
right, right.
100%.
I know that the,
Yeah,
MRA already had their
I applied to go.
applied for their
Yeah,
scholarship for the
I applied to go.
forum. The retreat is invite, and then the MRF advocacy days, I don't think they put out that,
Not
scholarship
yet.
until a couple more weeks, and then
It should be coming out soon.
yeah, and then it'll be open for about a month or so.
But yeah, I did apply to go. I haven't heard about the scientific retreat yet, but
Yeah,
I
that's
did get to go last year. And listen, if they don't invite me this year, I completely
yeah.
love them regardless. I felt very honored to be in that room full of smart people at least once in my life. So totally fine.
That's more specifically gauged towards the scientific community every year. That is still a flight for you, right?
It's 35 minutes.
Okay, so that's like a hop, skip, and a jump, basically. You go up and then just come down and you're there.
It's longer for me to drive to the airport.
If you were to literally, like, just drive from where you live straight there, how long would that take?
It's like 3.5 hours. You could drive if you wanted.
Yeah,
I'd
you're
rather
right.
fly though.
Because I was gonna say, like, time you gotta take in factor, leaving the house, getting to the airport, parking, getting through security, boarding the plane, landing. I haven't checked my luggage in a long time, but if you check your luggage, then you gotta go wait for your luggage and door to door. I would probably just drive straight up window. What else is on the radar in terms of things that conference wise or organizations that you haven't got into yet that you want to get into other than the
Hmm.
ACS, the MRA, the MRF, Castle
Really,
Bio?
really sad. Stupid Cancer had their like Cancer Con in Washington, D.C. this year, and it somehow missed my radar. And I'm so mad because I would love to have gone. I would have driven to DC to go there. But next year they're having it in Seattle, which is across
Yeah,
the
they
country
switch it
from
up
me.
every year. The year before that, it was in Austin. It's always at a different place.
I hope they were back around to the East Coast so that I can go there because I would love to go to CancerCon. And then I did apply. I'm gonna keep it secret, but I did apply to go to a thing potentially in March, like end of March.
Talking about with the FDA,
Yeah, in Maryland.
I had two organizations shoot me that. They're like applied. So
Same.
the
And you know what? I'm like, I think that sounds cool. And I'm
or the
bored right now.
25th or something.
Yeah, 25th. Okay.
Yeah,
You got
'cause
me. I did apply.
I'm looking at it because I got a thing in New York the 26th and 27th, and so it'd be one of those things where it's like, okay, I'd have to fly out on the 24th. I'd be there
Good.
for the 25th, and then go
Yeah.
from DC to New York, and then but yeah, that looks
I
like that's
know
gonna be a
many.
super cool deal.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't really know anybody, and I feel like it's only 2 days. Maryland's not far from me at all. I
Like,
yeah,
there is actually if you just, plugged in the search engine and just looked for, all the different events that come through both in, like, say, Pennsylvania and in Maryland, there was a lot of things that especially in
yeah,
Pennsylvania for all the cell therapy
uh-huh,
stuff
uh-huh,
in that realm, but in Maryland itself, they always have something going on within the cancer space. In fact, like, in a week or 2, Society Immunotherapy SITSI is gonna be there, and
okay,
SITSI, they have a patient advocate membership, and it's free to join. I've been a patient advocate member with them for a couple of years. I was an ASCO member, but I didn't renew it this year because you gotta pay for it, but that's always in Chicago. But
mhm,
for SITSI, since you've done immunotherapy, um I'll send you the link, but it's free to be a patient advocate member with them, and there is a lot of educational stuff that, can kinda broaden
yeah.
out, like, some of your
Where? What is it called?
it's called SITC is the acronym for it, and it stands for Society Immunotherapy Treatment let me look it up.
I've never heard of
You've
this.
never heard of SITC?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Well,
do need to learn about this.
that's what I'm here for, you know what I'm saying? I'm dial you
Thank you.
in. Society Friends of Cancer Research, that's another one. Published a couple of white papers with them and been on their advocacy board for a
Same.
while. They're incredible, I
Yeah,
love them.
yeah.
They are super cool.
It was the MRA email that pushed me over the edge. I saw the Friends of Cancer Research one first, and I was like, "Eh," and then when the MRA email come through, I was like, "You know what? If they say yes, cool. If they say no, cool." You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
So
Alright, SITC here, it texts you this link, but SITC stands for Society of Immunotherapy Cancer. I believe that's correct. Yeah, Society for Immunotherapy of Cancer, and their 40th anniversary is November 5th through 9th at National Harbor, Maryland. Which is DC,
uh-huh,
basically. Last year, it was in Houston. The
uh-huh,
year before that, it was in San Diego, and I discovered them because I wanna say it was in '22, the clinical trial sponsor for me, SITSI, had a poster abstract submitted for their annual conference, and it was that my NCT number for the clinical trial I did that recognized it, and then that's when I ended up going back and finding my press release from when I was dosed and started really digging into my treatment, but that's how I
mhm,
discovered SITSI as a whole, and all the immunotherapy pioneers like Jim Allison and all those guys, they're all engaged with it. But yeah, 40 years of
cool.
celebrating immunotherapy work.
Yeah,
But and their annual conference to be a patient advocate member is free. Like I haven't seen them, ever charge me for it. But yeah, their deal is going to be in Maryland.
yeah, I'll have to look that up and see.
I'll text you this right now so that way you have it.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely wanna
But
do that.
that was the thing. Like I was trying to get into doing what I'm doing, and as a subtype in melanoma that's not caused by the sun that makes up 1%. I was relating to other melanoma patients because they're, they got the word melanoma in it, but like a lot of the treatments and causes, can't prevent mucosal melanoma.
Yeah.
And so I was branching out to how else I can connect and engage. And that's what led me to this organization and all the other different ones. You have such a outgoing personality and everything and very unique experience through it all because you did have to go through all of this during the height of the COVID days
Mhm.
where you didn't have anybody with you to go in for your infusions, right? And your follow-up
Yeah.
appointments. Didn't you have to do that alone?
Yep.
I mean, that's just one sucks super bad.
Maybe that's why I'm just like, I always feel so empathetic towards you, and I'm always like, I gotta reach out to Chris because I feel like he's on this island by himself, and like, because it sucks. I see you all the time, like, as being a melanoma patient who does not have skin cancer, and it drives me crazy sometimes. And I'm like, I gotta reach out to Chris and make sure he's okay. And maybe that's why.
I
Maybe in
appreciate
some
it.
weird,
I
fucked
like
up
checks
way,
and
it's because
balances.
I was on this
Appreciate that.
island. No, seriously, you're welcome? I don't know if that's weird. I
No,
appreciate
no.
that.
Trust me, I really appreciate it because I literally, like, I got out of the hospital on January 20th of 2020. I had to stay 10 more days in Colorado before I was able to fly back to Texas. 2 weeks later, I had to fly back out to Colorado just to get labs and have them put eyes on me, flew back to Texas, and then flew back again 2 weeks later for my first set of scans. Well, after that, you're supposed to have follow-ups, like, every 6 weeks. Well, then COVID hit.
Mhm.
And it was crazy because I get out of the hospital, treatment that I did is proven to work. I was either stable or in reduction for all my follow-ups. But all I
Yes.
wanted to do was, celebrate life and like be around people. And the number one thing was you're not allowed to be around anybody. And it sucked. I was new home construction manager, so I could go to work, but I wasn't allowed to go, hang out with my siblings or my parents or just anybody dating or anything. It was just
Mhm.
like, figuring out Instacart, I remember that first time I finally actually went into the store, I was like, "Oh, shit, going into the store," or getting gas or something, I'm like, "Oh, man, like,
Mhm.
I get gas, like, going out," so, yeah, that all sucked, but
It's
I had to go back to
yeah,
work 90 days after I got out of that trial, and it was just kinda like it was just a weird time.
yeah. So I'm always checking on you, making sure you're okay and not feeling too
Appreciate
alone.
that. No, it's like,
Yeah.
the connection throughout the community, it gives me purpose, meaningful for me to be doing what I'm doing. Not everybody understands it or gets it. But I know that it's having an impact on people, and it's like I said, my whole life, they're like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And it's like, "How the hell would I know?" Like, but you only know unless you try different things. And I was told this advice when I was working in the country club world, and it's because, I it was a kind of a fun job and it was flexible, but I was trying to figure out what to do. And this guy one time told me, he's like, "Figure out what you don't want to do
Mhm.
and don't do that." But essentially, the only way to find that out is by trying multiple
Mhm.
different things. And so I
Yeah.
I had a handful of different like sub careers throughout my
Mm.
time and stuff. But when it all comes down to it, I was just trying to make a paycheck and survive. But now,
Yep.
and in the past handful of years, like it is crystal cut clear
Yeah.
what it is
Our
I'm
thing
doing and
found
why I'm
us
doing it.
backwards. We
Nobody
didn't figure out what we needed to do. Our thing found us in this weird,
exactly.
fucked up way, but it worked out. And you know what? It worked out, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the blueprint or the layout on how the end
Not
of
at all.
the story's all gonna
No.
be. Like, I did file for bankruptcy, I did have to take a
Sorry.
HELOC loan. Yeah, I mean, none of us are getting out of this life alive,
Just
that's
gonna
the point.
die, but that's okay.
No,
We're gonna
yeah.
go out really happy because we did
You
really
leave
good
this
stuff.
world with what you came in with, and that butt-ass naked with no possessions and no monies or anything, but that time in between, you gotta figure out how to still
Yeah.
exist, and so, gotta keep that light on, I gotta
Yeah.
keep this roof on my head, gotta put some food in my stomach. Drink some coffee. I don't do the Dunkin' thing like you do. Like, they should be paying you for how much Dunkin'
Dunking.
you
I love my
represent.
Dunkin'.
Dunkin' in a
Though
Starbucks cup.
I got a Starbucks cup today, so I am being a little bit of a traitor.
I literally, when I go to buy coffee, I'm like, is it's every time I've gone in the last couple of months, it's like more expensive no matter what brand it is. And so I'm like, all right, which one's the cheapest one and on sale? And I just put some half and half in it.
That's
Like,
just
life's expensive to exist, let alone go pay for
yeah,
something
I
that
haven't left my house, like, all October. Actually, I'm telling you earlier, today is the first time I'm leaving my house all October because Fighting Pretty, one of them, I don't know
Yeah,
what you
the
consider
boxing
them.
gloves. No, we
Yeah,
about
they
this
do.
right as we got started before I think we hit
Yeah,
record.
they do the little cute little boxing gloves for cancer patients.
Yeah.
They're hosting a little, I forget what it's called. It's like Bubblies at a pedicure place in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And they're going to have non alcoholic bubbly drinks because, of course, we're cancer patients, no alcohol. And they're going to give free pedicures to some cancer patients in my area. And I'm going to take my bestie with me. And it's going to be the first time that we left our house all October. And yeah, that should be fun. So tonight, first few hours, we're going to go have fun and drink some bubbly non alcoholic drinks and get our toasted. So that's fun and
Nice.
exciting. I have a
Nice.
box of gloves right here, actually.
Yeah, let's see them.
Right
Put
here.
them up.
And these ones are breast cancer ones, but I have the
Oh,
melanoma ones in my
yeah.
car. They have black melanoma ones that I put in my car like review mirror. But yeah, so I'm sure I'm probably gonna get a pair tonight too. I would assume that they're gonna give,
Well, it's bre
a
you know,
couple
Breast
away.
Cancer Awareness Month is October, and,
It's Cancer Awareness Month. You're
yep,
right.
and,
Yeah.
we're winding down to, like, what, 2.5 more days left of this month.
Yeah.
Like, what's your son being for trick or treating? Does he got, like, his outfit? Is he all stoked up and ready?
Yeah. Do you have kids? Do you have nephews or any kids that watch
Yeah,
YouTube?
yeah, they all do. Like, I'm I'm
He's
I'm
being
tagging along with
speaker
my
man.
s he's being speaker man?
Speaker man. You know what skippity toilet is?
God, it sounds super familiar, but
The
yeah.
the toilet kid, the kids watch the toilet got it's a toilet with a head coming out, basically. That's what these kids watch on YouTube nowadays. It's
No,
just
I
a
know.
toilet with a man's head, a full-grown
And it's
ass man's
hilarious.
head growing out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just a dude with a tuxedo and then like a old school boombox speaker on his head.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see pics. Like,
These kids today are weird.
I'm following around my niece, and her crew, like, they're going as, the Winnie the Pooh crew. She's gonna be Piglet.
That's sweet. See, that's
So,
normal.
I hit
That's
her up,
normal.
and it was like I hit up my sister, and it was like, 'cause I just, got Uncle Chris things going on, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, can I come tag along for the trick or treating and stuff?"
Yeah.
Like, in fact,
Oh, that's
I
fun.
I did, when I got diagnosed, like, and I quickly started going on, like, "Hey, we gotta do treatment, gotta do this, gotta do that." Well, my 3rd surgery was a lymph node dissection surgery deal with the tubes hanging out of my stomach, and then that was followed up by targeted radiation on my primary tumor source, which was my rectum. And so right before I did that, like, I went to go do fertility preservation. So this was, like, 7 years ago this month, and, like, my payment for it, annual payment is due this month and stuff, and it's like, oh man, like, it's like $400, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, "Shit." Like, I've been paying for it for all these years.
Wait, that thought never crossed my mind. You have to pay annually for that?
Well, when you first do it, like, you could pay for, like, they give you a deal for, like, I think it's like 2 years up front or 2 something like that for, like, $600, but then to renew it every year, yeah, it's like $400. Or
Or
it used to
what?
be it's cryo storage.
Well, I mean, what if you don't pay? Do they just, like
You destroy it. Like, I asked them, I was like, "What if some lady out there, like, wants to can I donate it or something?" They're like, "No, you either, like, get it and use it or we destroy it." And so, like, I've never given up on, like, the day that, like, I
Right.
could be a
Obvious
father, like,
obviously.
whether, like, I end up, getting into a relationship and they already have children or, you could always adopt or whatever, to in vitro, fertilize, like,
Gut-wrenching. That's
you
like,
know some
"Hey, you
like,
gotta pay us or"
I'm gonna be 44 in March and stuff, be like that old dad, you know what I mean?
you're
Like,
never too old to be a dad.
no, I mean, I'm eternal, that's how old I am, like, that's how I roll, with the white eyelashes
Yeah.
and all that fun stuff. I'm like, "Man, that's an additional expense." Just renewed my,
Yeah.
registration for my truck. Literally, we had a hailstorm that came through where I had to do an insurance claim, so I just got my roof replaced. Hopefully, before the end of the week, I'll have my gutters replaced, I'm restaining my fence. Like, the hail,
Yeah.
like, thank God didn't bust any of my windows. It busted some of the
Yeah.
neighbors' windows, but it did poke, holes through my window screens. It was a gnarly ass storm, like, and so, you know my cell phone, like, broke, not long ago, like, my air conditioner went I just had this string of, like, stuff and, like, added expenses, just my minimum to exist each month
Literally is
is
happening to
enough
us right
myself.
now.
So it's everybody, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Everywhere, I live
Yep.
in North Texas, an hour south of Lake Texoma,
Yeah.
and you're out there in
PA.
Pennsylvania slash Virginia area,
West Virginia.
Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. We're all essentially kind of in
Yeah.
this like same boat.
No, did you see my stories? What was it? The day before yesterday?
If there
Merle
was
was
the ones that I was like commenting, liking on, then I did. But like,
I might
what
have
it,
missed you might have missed the one before where Merle came in and was like, "Hey, something hit our windshield. We have a crack in our windshield." And then I was like, "Okay." So I went out and I looked at the windshield and he was like, "All right, well, it's fine. We'll just like we'll replace the windshield when the inspection goes dead." And I said, "Okay." I went out and I looked at the windshield. Inspection sticker says 925. Go out to
exactly.
Merle and say, "Buddy,
Did
I have something to tell you.
you
You're not gonna be happy." He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's not good." I'm like, "Oh my god." So same. Penny, nickel, diamond, just bad, 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 everything. So yeah.
man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, so you missed that context, and that's why I was explaining. This is life. This is life.
Nah, totally get that. Totally get that. Man,
Can't help but laugh though. I mean, it's just life,
yeah.
you know?
Well, that's
Life is
exactly it. Like,
life.
I mean, I bumped into a couple of people out there in New York, and one of them is a cancer survivor that was at this event with the New York City Athletic Club. It was for Association of Value-Based Cancer Care, and he was going to do stand-up that night. He had like a 10-minute bit and saying the same thing. If you can't find the humor in some of these things and be able to talk about it, you got to be able to take it all with a grain of salt, but
Yeah.
being able to talk about it and then embrace it. And plus, when you throw the humor into it, it just kind of helps connect the dots.
It's like a breath of fresh air too. It's like whenever you're upset, if you just stop and take a deep breath, it does make things better. So laughing about it is another way to do that. Just eases the pain a little bit. Just a little bit.
Straight up. I tell people this all the time, but like, the best form of therapy for, people like ourselves, and cancer survivors and such, is to be able to talk and connect, but then also laugh, about like the things, that led us to where we're at and to reflect because, that's the thing where, you don't have to necessarily explain it, to other people sometimes because they get it. And that right there, like, holds more clout, I'm saying, and cred than paying $200 an hour to go educate somebody and, you know
Oh yeah. I've healed myself a lot selfishly through this journey because being able to sit here and talk about it, even though I am helping other people, I am also
it's
in a
therapeutic.
it's very therapeutic. It has helped me heal through all this pain and trauma tremendously. And also, I'm helping other people at the same time. So it's dual wielding in a way, in many ways. I'm dually helping myself just as much as I am helping others. So I definitely have to acknowledge the fact that I am also selfishly helping myself in a lot of ways by doing what I do.
Like, that's purposeful, it's meaningful, like, that's it's not selfish at all, embrace that shit, proud of that, like, I love seeing you just, be out there and, just you being you because that, as a patient, I was always looking for other people to connect with that were just authentically raw, like, now that the more that you learn about everything that's involved and engaged within this space, and you can then pay it forward and explain the complicated things simplistically. And that's the whole point of like why I do
Yeah,
this Tilt Talks thing. Like talk to other cancer survivors, homies, and then I could be talking with some of these docs and scientists and everything, and then be able
bridging
to
it.
kind of relay and bridge those gaps. You know what I mean? That's the whole point. It's all gravy, baby. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Cool as a
No,
thing.
that's true. It's true. And it's definitely not easy because people do like to judge me a lot, especially in my personal life and
Yeah, well,
try to
whatever with
knock me
them.
down. And I've cried behind closed doors from
That's
the things that people have said. And I'm like, oh, they don't like me. They don't like what
yeah.
I'm doing. And I've had to build up a really tough layer of skin over these past few years And I'm not like that no more. Listen, don't get it twisted. I'm not
No, I
more, but
gotcha, I
it
gotcha.
took many years for me to cry and cry and cry and build up the thick skin to realize that what I am doing is okay. Like
No,
it is
it's
okay.
it's not okay, it's wanted, it's needed. The thing is, there's 8 plus some odd billion people on the planet, and, like, by, having those situations happen, at least now that's that one person that, you're not trying to reach them, like, you will find your community, and your community will find you. So, like, caring what other people, like, think, about, me and, or same thing, like, doesn't matter.
But
Maybe it's a
that's
jealousy thing, their pride got hurt or whatever, that's on them. Like, you keep on doing what you're doing and keep on kicking ass and doing so, you're the community of people that you're providing value to will find you, and you're finding them, and so not everybody's gonna fit it into an all-inclusive that's just ridiculous.
go through the battles today, but I just don't let them collapse me anymore. I'm like, it's okay. I can do
Yeah.
what I do. What makes me happy. And guess what? The same for you. You can do what you do, and what makes you happy. And that is awesome. Isn't that
Yeah.
awesome? And yeah, I don't know. It's tough,
No.
but
I
I just
totally
try to
you're
keep my
kicking
good
ass.
foot forward. Keep my good
No.
foot forward, and I heard a really funny quote today. Someone said, like, "You put a good foot forward, and then every time someone we do that, someone steps on it." Oh, that was a heavy quote. I was like, "Wow, that's pretty interesting. Every time you put a good foot forward, someone steps on it." That can be true sometimes.
But
That
you know
can
what
be true.
happens when that happens is it's gonna stink for a second, but as your foot heals, it's gonna be even stronger than it was before.
Boom.
So, that's usually the case where I'm like, "Hey, thanks for doing that." Putting them reps in, like, pump it up,
That's a
so
good way to look at it.
straight
Perspective
up.
is everything. That's
Yeah,
my new thing lately. I'm like, perspective is everything. I've been trying everything that I approach in life that becomes difficult. I'm like, I just got to switch my perspective. I have to look at it and I have to change my perspective and figure out how to find positivity in this or look at it in a
yeah.
different way that doesn't seem so difficult. And I can figure it out and I can get through this situation one way or another. And so that's my new thing lately. And it's been working. It's been pretty good.
You're a positive person, you're an optimistic person, and there's value in that for those that you're connected with and those that, will eventually connect with you, and so you keep rocking and kicking ass on that. That is meant to be will fall into place. Like, there's a Wayne Gretzky quote, and I say this all the time, and that is, "You're only gonna miss 100% of the shots that you don't take."
Yeah.
Find out what it's like when you don't even take the shot.
Sure.
Now you know.
It's because I was raised by my mother is completely opposite of me. My mother is the biggest, pessimist. Everything is negative. Every little thing she's ever and that's what I was raised in, a household of everything has a negative, outlook, and
Yeah,
so I think it just I don't know, it had to have shaped me in a way that I look at everything the complete opposite because I wanna be everything opposite of what she was growing up with me, and so I just try to be completely opposite of what she was, and sometimes it can be bad. Like I literally made the reel the other day. I was talking about my colitis and I was like, just a little bit of stomach pain. And sometimes I can make things painted way too peachy. And that's my downfall. Things that are not peachy, I'll be like, oh, it's fine. So I have
yeah.
to balance it a little bit, but I'm working on it. I'm
Hey, it's all good,
working on it.
it's a human experience, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm working
Like,
on it.
I'm gonna be start making a tour of, having all of my initial, guests come on follow-up, recordings, to hit up the highlights that we talked about during our first recordings to expand upon further, you know, after done with this one and scope it all out, I'll pick out a couple of key details. We'll get something down the map. You know what I'm saying? Do end up coming to the forum or the MRF days. I'm going to be bringing some mics and stuff and
In
doing some on
person.
site. Yeah, I'm going to be doing some on site pods. So maybe even some go lives. You never know. But like with microphones and the whole setup. So, anyways, but stay tuned and I'll keep you posted on that. But
Yeah, let's do it.
but for today, Brittany with two T's and two N's. Thank you for coming on Chill Talks. Before we jump off, anything you wanna say to the listeners out there?
Yeah, do you think it's weird that Brittany has the word tan in it, and I was, like, so obsessed with tanning. Got melanoma skin cancer.
That does have some irony into it, so life's always full of weird surprises, so
Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
that's a unique observation.
it is. But anyways, I guess follow me on Instagram, if you spell it Brittany, you'll actually find it,
Yeah,
even though it's Brittany.
yeah. I'm
Brit
connected to her on all my socials, so, follow my followers and this and that, and if you can't find her on your own, come to mine, and then you'll find her on there, so,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, no doubt. Alright, everybody, like, y'all take care, sending love, and peace.
Peace.
All right, that concludes today's episode of Till Talks with Chris White as we talk TILs, tumor infiltrating lymphocytes, and all advanced cell and gene therapies. As a reminder, I am not a medical professional or medical expert. I am only a professional and expert on my story and my experience. If you are needing or seeking medical advice or assistance, please reach out to your care team. I'd like to thank my guest today for joining me on Till Talks. To our listeners who have not yet done so already, please follow, comment, subscribe, share, and smash that like button. For more information about Till Talks and related resources, please visit www.tilltalks.com. I'm Chris White. As always, sending love to everybody. Peace.